News, jury deliberations now underway in the Richmond Hill trial. It's happening at the St. Joseph County Courthouse in South Bend. They have spent a long day listening to the lawyers' closing arguments and the judge's final instructions. Call 6 investigator Rafael Sanchez is live in South Bend with the very latest. Rafael.
Erica, good evening. Those jury deliberations have been ongoing now for about a half hour or so. The judge asked the jury pool to deliberate for a bit while he worked on the arrangements, those arrangements getting them to a hotel in the South Bend area, because they'll resume deliberations tomorrow. They have so much work to do over the next few hours, maybe a few days, depending on what happens. These are just some of the jury instructions. This thick piece of paper, 89 pages. Let me take you inside the jury instructions as given by the judge just about 45 minutes ago, an hour ago. This is what the jury instructions reminds these jurors to do. They must look at all the criminal charges individually, one by one. They must also not base their decisions on a whim. It must all be based or sympathy or bias. It must be based on the facts, and their verdicts must be unanimous. Let me take you inside the closing arguments, which really went on for most of the day, beginning around 10:20 this morning. The prosecution laying out its case, its final words to this jury, reminding them that this was a tragic situation that happened in Richmond Hill back in November of 2012, reminding them that the homeowner, Monserrate Shirley, and the man accused of being the ringleader in this case, Mark Leonard, that they removed prized possessions from the homes, like portraits and even the white Persian cat, before the blast, and also pointing out that Mark Leonard, tampered with the gas lines. Joining me now, of course, is digital correspondent Jordan Fisher. Jordan, you heard the defense. They spent more than an hour and a half making their case as well.
Right. Defense attorney David Shercliffe has been representing Mark Leonard for about 2 years at this point. Pointed out, by his count, 169 witnesses have come before the jury. Only 11, he said, talked about Mark Leonard. Most of the testimony, he added, the lion's share, he said, provided by Monserrate Shirley, who he described a master liar. Can't be believed.
And we'll read more about this, of course, on your blog on TheNewChannel.com. And Erica and Todd, just moments ago, we heard from Don Buxton, the father of Jennifer Longworth, who said in his words, "I can't believe that my daughter is dead because of greed." All new on the news at 6 o'clock. The special coin that he's been carrying in his pocket now for more than 30 months. We'll talk to Don Buxton coming up on the news at 6. Live in South Bend, Rafael Sanchez, RTV 6.
All right, we'll look for you then. Thank you, Rafael.
It was a packed courtroom in South Bend today, and sitting in the front row, a handful of Mark Leonard's former neighbors. Just a bit ago, RTV6 talked to one of them, a man so rocked by what happened he hasn't returned to Richmond Hill. RTV6's Ann Kelly is live in South Bend as well to explain. Ann.
Hey, good evening, Todd. Well, that man, Tony Burnett, he lived across the street from Monserrate Shirley and Mark Leonard's home. And earlier in the trial, in this courtroom, in this courthouse, he testified that he saw two men in a white van go into that home and leave the night of the explosion. Now, this is a man who felt the deadly blast, who saw the destruction firsthand, who, unlike many of his neighbors who have rebuilt, he sat beside them in the courtroom today. He has not returned to Richmond Hill. Now, he says the most recent memories he has there are simply too painful for he and his wife.
I live directly across the street from where the explosion was, and my wife was very familiar with the routines of Dion Longworth in the morning, and we just felt that if we built up again across the street, we couldn't look out the front window and see that explosion scene every morning. It was just too strong of an emotional feeling to be able to do that.
A lot of emotion for that couple, emotion that the defense has said it is worried will affect the outcome of the case. Remember, 86 Richmond Hill residents testified in this courthouse during the trial, many with painful memories, and the defense team asking the jury not to let their feelings cloud the facts about who or who isn't responsible for the blast. Reporting live in South Bend, Ann Kelly, RTV6.